But I'm on a different side of the lane because issues, and I'll have a video coming out to explain it, but that's okay. Cool. Maybe I don't have to throw it like I used to throw it. And if I can make shots like that, with ball reaction like that, I don't care. Motiv's Nebula is releasing on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, promising the sharpest back-end reaction they've ever created, so we'll see if that's the case, if that's actually a good thing, see if all the buzz from the other reviewers so far is valid or accurate, and figure out where it fits in the grand scheme of things. Test pattern is Kegel Chromium at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, and my layout for this one is similar-ish to what I use lefty and basically what I used to use righty. To address the obvious and sum this up as quickly as possible so that we can talk Nebula, yes, I now have a really odd issue that's sidelining me lefty for a while, but I have reviews to do and a tournament in a couple weeks, so I drilled something righty and tried to go a different direction with my game to see if I could make do for now, and I think it worked. This isn't the righty Luke that those of you that have been with me for a while will remember, and while I appreciate the intent of anyone wanting to help with, well, it looks like you're doing this, or have you thought about trying this, believe me, I know and I've tried. I've been fighting this for literal decades now. People always ask for an average typical league bowler type of game in reviews anyway, so here you go. I have a video that's coming later to explain the whole situation, so for now, let's review a bowling ball. Lots of new things with the Nebula, so we'll start with the core. The new Hadron core has a 250 RG and an 045 differential and 15 pounds. Strong symmetric numbers, but not mega strong. The Forges and Raptors, for example, have a lower RG and an extra 10 points of differential, so Hadron is a little weaker than that, but still a little stronger than the Oblivion core from the Ripcord series. Now, speaking of the Ripcords, they say that this core is their first dual density core in over 8 years, but the Oblivion core was dual density. Matter of fact, they always pointed out how big the flip block was on it, so I'm not entirely sure what the story is there, if it's a mix-up or some technicality or angle or something, or they just forgot. But either way, heavier, thicker bottom on this core to give it some extra imbalance to help it boom when it starts moving, but without burning up or hook stopping like some ASIMs can. The cover is still the propulsion base. That's their go-to formula base when they want cleaner and sharper reaction. It's currently featured on the Crimson Jackal, Evoke Hysteria, Primal Rage Evolution, and Hypervenom, with different additive packages to adjust the strength and response, but they say that the dark matter variation on the Nebula is the cleanest and sharpest that they've made to date. Motiv balls have historically been known for a heavier roll, very strong mid-lane reads, and a more controllable move on the back end, even when it comes to their cleaner and sharper options. In the past, that meant some balls tended to be kind of chuggy and pukey sometimes, while the skid flippy options could be kind of inconsistent or hit and miss, but in the last few years they've really gotten things figured out and are making more dynamic but still balanced equipment. I think the most obvious example of everything coming together would be the Evoke Hysteria. It definitely feels like a Motiv ball, but also does clean and dynamic effectively. However, it's still just flippy for a Motiv ball. With the Nebula, it seems like they wanted to go full send on skid flip and make something that was actually flippy and not just flippy for a Motiv ball. They still had to get the balance right, and I think they did. Motiv has a very dedicated fan base, and while you always want to progress and move forward, there's a difference between progress and changing directions. And while it was important for them to have a cleaner and sharper reaction, they needed to do that while still staying in their lane, so to speak. With the Nebula, Motiv fans will be getting a really clean and sharp ball, but one that still feels like a distinctly Motiv reaction. I think there are some Storm and B7 options that are still faster, but I think that they're out of flippy for a Motiv ball territory. This one is actually legitimately responsive. Their trademark stronger roll is still there, and the shape is between round and continuous and a directional arc, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Back before I got on with Storm and started the channel, I was a Motiv guy, and my everything-killing bag was a Covert Revolt, Sigmatur, and the original Silver Tribal. The general look of this ball took me back, and I just needed to drill it. I couldn't let Angel have this one, even though she's been drilling most of the Motiv stuff lately. She's got enough back end anyway, I wanted some of my own, damn it. The Nebula isn't quite as round and continuous as the Covert, it's not quite as archy and directional as the Sigma. The general shape reminds me of the Graffiti Tag. This one is definitely the stronger and more controllable ball while being even faster. And for a current reference, very strong Black Venom vibes as far as the shape goes, just obviously cleaner and faster. It's definitely going to be a transition ball, but even the shiny, cleaner, and faster Motiv balls handle fresh conditions really well, but because of how stable and controllable their core motions are, so the Nebula is still hanging out well here. It's not what I'd be using on the fresh in a scoring situation, but I could do a lot worse. Also fairly obvious, it's going to want some boards to cover. It's too fast to be too straight, for me anyway. A little right and it'll hang, and a little left and it'll really pick up. On a challenge pattern anyway, on a house shot, it's just going to pick up and go regardless if you're playing too straight, so it definitely needs some angle to help balance out the reaction. I did sneak a few good shots in from straighter though. It actually did better for me from the 10-5 zone than expected. My righty game has always been like our occasional two-handed tester Riley, in the sense that I kind of slow hook it, so right of third arrow isn't my jam regardless of what I'm throwing or bowling on. I can do it, but it's uncomfortable. Going the other direction, me being able to bend the ball from super deep doesn't necessarily mean anything. It means more now that I don't have a 450 rev rate anymore, but if I can't get a ball to cover boards, it won't want to get deep for anybody. However, I kept chasing it deeper, it kept coming back, and it never flinched, so just keep watching. If you have high speed and low revs, you know something like this is probably going to be too clean for you on the fresh at least, unless you knock the surface down or have a decent amount of friction, but it's stronger than I was expecting, which is a good thing. I think if you point it or walk it down the side, you're going to be able to throw darts on most regular house shots. I know it's on the line with the Primal Rage Evo on the ball chart, more on that in a minute, and I agree that it's not quite as strong as the Steel Forge, but it's definitely stronger than the Rage, plus it's faster, so I think stroker types or higher speeds will have more to work with here than they might expect. On the flip side, if you slow hook it, you know it's going to be a lot of boom, but slow hookers are used to having to cover a lot of boards anyway, and I think this one is still controllable enough to let you do that. Plus it's cleaner and medium strength, so you're not going to have to fight it to get it down the lane unless you're on 2-drive conditions. And we're still watching me moving inside here. It's still watching it pick up and respond strongly and convincingly, even for my now modest rev rate. Everybody else in the middle is going to be fine with it. It's one of those super centered balls from a strength perspective that's just going to fit for the vast majority of people on the vast majority of regular conditions. Just one of the most plug-and-play, user-friendly balls on the market. Point it up the ditch, give it a soft fade, or rip the cover off from fifth arrow. It seems like it does it all, and remember, I'm still on a challenge pattern. This is supposed to be somewhat difficult, or at least keep you honest, so imagine what the story is going to be on a more forgiving league pattern. $200 on Bowler's Mart, so you're paying the Motiv Premium. I think this is in Rockstar Amped and Ember territory. A little pricey comparatively here, but par for the course for the Maniacs. It doesn't represent a price hike or anything. You've heard the spiel enough. Search Positive Tales for the Rescue Collection on CoolWick. I also have a few signature items on there that I haven't mentioned in a while, so search my name to see all that if you're interested. And of course, code ROSEDALL10 at checkout gets you 10% off non-fundraising and non-discounted items at checkout. Bowler's Mart link in the description for all your bowling needs, including the new Epic Evo 2D dual dial high performance shoes. They're my daily drivers now. I've used them in all my videos since I got them, including this one, plus I do have a review coming very soon. I unfortunately have no comparison ball at this moment because Righty. I've been flying by the seat of my pants for months now, so it just is what it is. However, I have a Primal Rage Evolution in the works, so there will be a comparison at some point, but let's go to the ball chart because I still have a lot of help I can offer there. It's definitely on the correct line and in the correct place. It's absolutely sharper than the Rage, but it's still a half step down on strength from the Hysteria and the Steel. The Nebula is a tough Motiv-only description for me because it is legitimately the sharpest ball they've ever made, but the shape is still extremely Black Venom. Like if you can imagine an HK-22 Black Venom, that's the Nebula. It's got kind of Crown Victory vibes too, just still stronger and sharper than that. It has that same Black Venom shape. It's just cleaner and a lot sharper, but it's still extremely controllable. You'll have to go back a bit for the best comparison, but it's an evolution of the Sigma Tour as far as I'm concerned. Definitely sharper, but if you had a Sigma, it will give you the vibes with a more dynamic and contemporary feel. Now, I see my guy Hutch getting crucified for saying Ball of the Year in his video title, but watch anyone throw this ball, ignore everything they're saying, and tell me what your eyes see. Mine see an S rating for this ball. I haven't bowled Righty since the Exotic Gem review, which was 3 years ago. I've lost about 150 revs off what I used to have, and I kind of half suitcase it, probably like a lot of you watching. Average league bowler kind of game, striking at will on a challenge pattern from 4 different arrows. So being honest and calling it like it is requires me to glaze this one like a Krispy Kreme. If you were watching this ball reaction while I trashed the ball in the review, you'd be arguing with me and calling me out. So just relax and accept the fact that I think that Motiv now has a Venom Shock, Jackal Ghost level shiny ball that can hang out with the big dogs in the industry in the skid flip category. Once again, releases November 26th, day before Thanksgiving, so it'd be a great pickup for all those Thanksgiving Eve or Black Friday weekend tournaments. I've got lots of things to say in the live comm. Members will get the full-length version, and of course, if you have any comments or questions, please leave those down below. I'm getting Sigma Tour vibes, is what I'm getting, and that's why I wanted this ball. That's half the reason I'm bowling right-handed right now. Get out of the way, dummy. Still working on the balance here. But yeah, this is very Sigma Tour-ish, because the Sigma Tour did that same type of thing where it looked like it was kind of archy, but it was also kind of round and continuous at the same time. And it was strong but not too strong, and it was kind of flippy and sharp, but it was kind of blendy and smooth too. It just did everything right. And again, we've got to give it, we're gonna give it a few shots to warm up here, because something that's dead fresh, it's got to get some wear on it to actually build a track up. Because the point, they always talk about the footprint of a ball. Well, when a ball's dead fresh, the footprint's very small. So as the ball kind of gets a little bit of wear in that specific point, it's like dulling the edge of a knife, basically. You know, when you have a knife to begin with, it's super, super sharp. But then when you dull the knife eventually, because you use that edge so much and you wear it down. Well, when you do that on a bowling ball, it grabs more and more because more of the ball is touching the lane. So that's already faster than it was the first couple shots. That's the sixth shot. Sixth, fourth, fifth. That one did pick up pretty firm. So this is, I think we're right on that line, and I'll talk about this in the review. Again, I've watched so much video, I fully expected this, and this is giving me exactly what I've seen from everybody else and have expected. The trick was going to be getting a Motiv ball to be fast, because most Motiv balls, they're kind of known for really a strong mid lane move and really controlling the mid lane, being controllable down lane. But when they've tried to go fast in the past, it hasn't really worked out. It's been kind of hit and miss, or have some balls like the Paranoia or something that are just, they want to roll at your feet, but also try to flip too, but sometimes that doesn't work out. And that's gonna hook. Yeah, this one's punchy. But the trick was gonna be, because I think Motiv has the most, Motiv and Hammer probably have the two most devoted fan bases, where I think there's a lot of people, they throw Motiv, and there's a lot of hammerheads that just throw Hammer. I think some other people kind of go back and forth a little bit, or they're a little bit more open to other companies. But so Motiv needed a look like this. They needed something that was sharper. But if you go too far the other direction and it doesn't feel like a Motiv ball, then you've got problems that direction too. But I really think that they nailed it here. That's got to hook a lot. And it did hook a lot. I didn't think that was going to get back. Motiv balls are, I'll hit this in the review. Motiv balls generally act better on fresher conditions in general because of how stable the cores are, how strong they roll, and how well they control the lane. So even though that was a dead toss right, and not any ball that I'm going to get back from there with a Storm or Brunswick ball, but this one will pick up and dig and get back, even though it is a really clean, flippy kind of ball. Okay, so we have nothing left. Nothing towards the inside, which I'm used to that as a lefty, but this is a very responsive ball. And I think Motiv has done it with this ball to where they finally have something that's actually flippy and not just flippy for a Motiv ball. Because every time they've come out with something before, and we'll kind of look at it and go, wow, it's really fast for a Motiv ball, because Storm has historically been the flippy company. Brunswick has taken over here in the last few years with HK22. But every time you'd have a flippy Motiv ball, or this is the fastest ball we've ever made, it's like, okay, it's still kind of round and smoothish. And that is still kind of round and smoothish, but it rolls like a Motiv ball. I mean, that's the best thing that I can tell you, is that it rolls like a Motiv ball. So the Motiv crowd is definitely not going to be unhappy with this, and it still manages to maintain that very stable, controllable kind of reaction that Motiv is known for, and that what people really like them for. Because it's just kind of hard to miss the pocket with a Motiv ball.
This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling.